and welcome to Football League World TV. My name's Ned Holmes and this is the Ipswich Town Fan Debate. Today I'm joined by Tractor fans and our usual Ipswich expert, Henry, who's at Phoenix Talks 07 on Twitter, to break down the club's transfer windows so far and look ahead to what we might see happen before it slams shut in 6 days' time. Henry, how are you doing? How's the January window been how have you fared so far?
I'm very well, thanks for having me on again. Overall, I mean, our league position's going on the way up, hopefully. McKenna at the helm, another manager, another chapter, another era, whatever they want to call it now. 8 points of playoffs. Overall, I'd say fairly happy so far.
Brilliant. Well, before we get started, just a reminder to please like the video, subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube as we close in on 1,000 subscribers, and let us know your thoughts on the weekend's action via the comments. Well, we're going to first just touch on the window in general. As I said, Henry, sort of first port of call for us today is the window in general. Obviously, it was never going to be quite as exciting as that summer window, the 19 transfers in the sort of the start of the Mark Ashton and the Paul Cook eras, if you will. Kieran McKenna at the helm now. What were your thoughts, expectations sort of heading into the window, and has it lived up to them so far?
Thoughts going in, we needed a couple. We need to get rid of a couple. I think that was quite key as well. We have quite a heavy squad again with those 19 in, quite a saturated squad. So getting rid of a few, clearing a few squad spaces would be key, and then looking to bring those in, a couple of permanents, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a second. So a couple of permanents and maybe a few more loans just to get us really cemented and get our squad strength, 2 players per position in order. And overall, looking back at 25th of Jan, 5 days, 6 days left, I'd say good, but not great yet, I think.
So you're looking. We'll touch on it perhaps in more detail what you want to see, but really, if the window slammed shut today, you wouldn't be fully satisfied.
No, I think there's definitely one more improvement area, I think. But again, like I said, there's a couple of permanents, or the one permanent and a couple of loanees and extensions have been really, really key. So that's been great. So, but at the moment, I'll be good at the moment. I'll be great if we can get one more loanee in by the end.
Fantastic. Well, we'll move on to that permanent signing that we've obviously hinted at. That was Christian Walton from Brighton. He'd obviously impressed on loan in the first part of the season. He was recalled, and that there were sort of rumours and reports circling really about his future. Reports seem to suggest that Ipswich managed to bring him in on a fairly nominal fee. You've got to be happy about that bit of business, Henry, haven't you?
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic signing. In terms of him as a player, probably the best goalkeeper we've had at the club since Bartosz Białkowski. I'd even say potentially better, but due to the fact his aerial ability, his certainty when crosses come in, shot stopping. I mean, you saw it at the weekend against Accrington, how crucial and pivotal his save was. I think it was about 56 seconds or something like that. Later, we go on and Burns goes on and scores to make it 1-1.
Yeah. I
mean, he stopped it being 2-0 and sort of he saved us those points. And I think he's a type of signing that will actually get you points. Definitely. And like you said, in terms of the fee, you saw, Ollie Palmer go for about 300k yesterday to Wrexham. I think we got Walton in for around about 150k, which I mean, from a Premiership club, heaps of experience so far, and only 26 for a goalkeeper. That's not quite at your prime, supposedly. So I think we've got an absolute like an English goalkeeper for under 200k from a Premier League club. And again, he was in the summer until his injury. He was going to be even second choice behind the Brighton goalkeeper. So I think we've got a real bargain there. So overall, we're happy with every aspect.
Absolutely, and it's certainly a positive as well that looking at what Ipswich will want to achieve over the next 2 or 3 seasons, that Walton is someone already with that Championship experience. It's seen on loan, impress on loan in the Championship. So the Walton one that was obviously important. I remember sort of speaking to you a few times in the build up to the January window, and a name obviously on the lips of all sort of Ipswich fans at that time was an Ipswich fan himself, Macaulay Bonne, and it caught fire, particularly in the first few months of the season, and obviously the news sort of emerged relatively early, I think, in the window that Macaulay Bonne was going to be staying put until the end of the season. Another boost there, another good bit of business.
Yeah, no, again, 100%. Every aspect of the deal I like. Good to have the certainty of him staying. He wanted to. I feel like he loves the club. He loves playing. There was a really nice moment after he got subbed against Gillingham. He got subbed off towards our away end, and he was posing for pictures, taking selfies with fans while the game was still going on, walking behind the goal, just showing how much he actually likes playing for the club and sort of wears the shirt with pride. I couldn't see QPR get rid of him yet for a permanent. I reckon we probably tried, and extension was the best they'd do for the time being. But again, I feel like the certainty now will sort of go like the weight off his shoulders a bit, not knowing he can sort of settle down a bit more in Suffolk. But yeah, again, every aspect of the deal really like a bit of business that.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like a very smart move from Ipswich to get him locked down. Before we move on to the next deal, just a reminder to any Ipswich or EFL fans watching, please do get your thoughts, your comments, and just your predictions for how Ipswich might finish the window in. Tyreek Bakinson rather than Henry. That was a bit of a shock one for me. Obviously, I've seen a lot of him at Bristol City, and he was someone that early on in the season seemed like he was perhaps cementing his place amongst, if not the first team, then sort of a big part of the squad. Signed a new deal, was playing fairly regularly, and then seems that he's off the bus, as Nigel Pearson would put it. Signed on loan with an obligation to buy. What are your thoughts on this one, Henry?
Yeah, again, a bit of surprised, and from what I've read, I think potentially it might be like it's not an obligation. I think it might be an option to buy by the end. But yeah. I mean, again, I like every aspect. There's no real loss for us. Like taking another a championship experienced midfielder, only 23, box to box. He looked comfortable on the ball against Accrington. Really enjoyed that sort of cameo he came on because Evans got injured in the warm up, so he found himself on the bench. I did hear Pearson's comments just before he left on the radio. Again, I'm not too bothered about that sort of character assessment from Pearson, because again, if a player doesn't want to play for one manager, it doesn't mean he doesn't want to play for McKenna, for example. And McKenna's track record of working with youngsters, working with guys maybe with an ego that he needs to sort of smooth over. Again, I like every aspect of it, and like I said, we did need another option in midfield alongside Morsey, alongside Evans and Carroll, who came in. So again, yeah, really like that deal. Interested to hear your thoughts on sort of what type of midfielder he is before moving on. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an interesting one really, because he's certainly a player that has that ability to he's often looking for the forward passes, and he can pull a really like special forward pass out. He can carry the ball quite well. We were often using him sort of sat in a deeper lying role and shadowing, sort of shielding the defence rather. His defensive, what he offers defensively, there's a little bit of a lack of consistency, I'd say, and sometimes in his short passing, he could do with tidying up his game, I guess. But perhaps, a bit more time on the ball in League One than in the Championship. Probably a bit more freedom, a bit more space. And as you say, I'm really interested to see actually how he fares with McKenna. I'd imagine quite a different coach to Nigel Pearson, and someone that, as you say, a great track record. I was sad to see him go, really, because there's been glimpses of him looking real quality. And as you say, that box-to-box nature, when he can pick up the ball, he's sort of shuttling it forward. He can be really effective. So I'll be interested to see where he'll play. I think playing next to someone like a Morsey or an Evans, that could really work for him. Sort of perhaps, particularly given Ipswich are going to look to be in the ascendancy in most games, someone like a Morsey that's so happy, so gleeful to do the defensive work and all that sort of battling, and then have Bakinson next to him. I think that could be a sort of a really nice position for him, and and you know, a shame to see him go, but it does seem like the sort of the best thing for all parties at the moment.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that.
Sure. And so we'll move on to the next one then, Henry. Tyrese Simpson recalled from loan. This was a bit of a shock to me, and I think judging by social media, a shock to Ipswich fans as well. 11 goals in his 30 appearances at Swindon this season, and it seems like he's going to get some minutes. You know, what's the general Ipswich fan, you know, feeling about this recall? Is there excitement there?
Yeah, yes, but also a bit of uncertainty. Not 100% sure on the plan, because it's not like we haven't got options in the striker position, and it's not like he can play. He's not like a versatile sort of left winger, forward, inside forward, that type of player. He's very much an out and out striker. So I know, like you said on social media, it seems like he loved playing in Swindon, and Swindon loved him. There's very mutual respect between the two. From what I've seen in his highlights, sort of highlight reel, strong, quick, powerful runner, which again, in behind defence, holding off man to man would be really good. Makes a lot of back post runs to be on the end of crosses. Similar to Bon. So I've got two options. Again, it may be touched on a bit later, but we have Caden Jackson, we have Joe Pigott, as well as James Norwood, as well as Macaulay Bon. 4 strikers there. A lot of the time, Jackson doesn't get on the bench. So I think he may be on the way out. Him replaced with Simpson, I'm not so sure. I don't see the point of him coming to sit on the bench, because I don't really see Norwood or Bon being removed from first choice. Norwood sometimes accompanies him or starts on his own. Pigott plays it's quite a small role for a player that's got a lot of ability. So I can't, unless there's Jackson out and Pigott out on loan or whatever, and then Simpson as the third choice striker. Or I think another potential option is loaning him out to a lower League One side. Which I think could, again, someone like an AFC Wimbledon just got rid of their main striker, Palmer. He could do a serious job holding up the ball, getting a bit more experience in that higher division. Again, I'm not 100% sure on the development of that. However, like I said, touched on McKenna's experience with progressing players, coaching players. Maybe he wants Simpson in to sort of help direct an actual Ipswich player to see where he goes. He's also, his contract, I think we extended his contract till the end of this year. We've also got an extension on it if necessary. So I think bringing him back means he's in McKenna's plans and the hierarchy's plans. I think they want a bit more closer development regarding his progress. So I think that might be the reason why they brought him back.
Sure. I mean, you touched upon it there, and Simpson's recall is obviously an interesting part of it. Over the next 6 days, but before the window closes, that's really an area of the squad that's going to be really interesting to watch. I think Caden Jackson, now into the final 6 months of his contract at Portman Road, doesn't really seem to have a place in the plans moving forward, or really in the first team plans beyond cover there. It's an interesting one with Simpson, as you say. Partially, you'd think, well, it's best to keep him out succeeding while he's on loan. But as you say, you know, perhaps McKenna wants to run the rule over him, thinks he could, or either perhaps McKenna wants to sort of be able to direct his development more in-house. But certainly an interesting one to watch, given the rumours around James Norwood as well. But we'll touch on that later. So those are the incomings, and next we're going to move on to some departures. Well, early in the window, Henry, a departure that I think we all saw coming, and that was the recall of Aston Villa loanee Louis Barry. Quite a lot of excitement when the 18-year-old joined from Aston Villa in the summer. But I think it really, as the summer window went on, he sort of began to drop further and further down the pecking order with some of the other players that came in. What were your thoughts on, first, I guess, Barry's tenure at Ipswich, and then, you know, the fact that he's been recalled?
Yeah, it's a very much expected sort of termination of a loan. Like you said, due to our signings right before the window, Selena especially, and then informed players such as Bon, Burns, Aluko didn't really chance to either start or come off the bench, because I think he would want to play again either up top as a 2, and Cook wasn't that keen to play 2 up top, so that meant Bonne had the position cemented, and then out wide you had Edwards, Selina, Burns, Aluko. You had again a plethora of options up there. So he didn't really get a chance. And again, it's a bit of a shame because he did come with a lot of not expectation, but a lot of potential. And you've seen what he can do on the ball and off the ball because he's very quick. But for him, I think it's the right decision. For Aston Villa, I think it's the right decision to get him more game time. I think for us, it's probably the right decision if we were paying any sort of his wages to get it off the books to maybe free up another space. Again, I am glad for him to go back and actually get maybe go back to his hometown, and then go out on loan, maybe closer to home. So hopefully he's a success elsewhere. Again, not against us, but hopefully success elsewhere to get some proper game time that he deserves.
Absolutely. It sounds like from the recent reports that it could be a League Two loan for him, though I know Doncaster as well have been linked. The next one then, Miles Kenlock, another to walk that well-trodden path between Ipswich and Colchester United. He's gone there on loan. Seems to have started pretty well, helped them to pick up that 3-0 win on the weekend. What are your thoughts on his departure?
Oh, like you said, he joins Ipswich 2.0 down the road. And I did see online they can field an entire ex-Ipswich starting 11 now, which is quite lucky for them. Yeah. I believe he's only got like 5-6 months left on his contract. I think he'll be let go on a free in the summer. He wasn't even Cook didn't even have him in our 25-man squad. So I believe this is sort of his trial period before he tries to get a contract in the summer. Sometimes as an option, I sometimes really did like him, but his lack of concentration, defensive inability to sort of cover and track. He was pretty good going forward, and you saw where in the 3-0 win, his goal, he is a threat sometimes going into the box, and he did offer something different as a left back, but unfortunately his defensive ability may be lacking in comparison to his attacking sort of prowess. So hopefully again he does well at Colchester or any sort of club he moves on to. But he joins some friends in Chambers, Skuse, Hughes, Judge, Sears, Gherkin. You can keep naming all of them. But yeah, so I'm glad he's again gone off the wage books, which is another. Well, hopefully he's gone off the wage book in terms of the loan. But he wasn't really part of McKenna, or definitely not Cook's. But I don't think he's part of McKenna's plans either.
Absolutely. We'll move on to sort of the next departure then, Toto Nsiala. Perhaps the biggest surprise about his departure was that he didn't end up at Colchester United. Sold to Fleetwood Town. I guess centre-back at another position that in that flurry of signings in the summer, that there was a fair bit of strengthening there. The right decision, you think, to sell him in the January window?
Toto, people I've spoken to probably would know my opinion, but seemed like an absolutely lovely bloke. Like in person and on the pitch, he tried. Don't get me wrong, he tried really hard. But my God, am I glad to see him go. He never looked comfortable with the ball at his feet, or there's always an error within him. He gave away those silly penalties sometimes. Like I can think about the one at Lincoln, the one at Accrington. Like really, really dumb mistakes and really simple errors. That's what I think was most frustrating, is the simplicity of them. He wasn't being like done inside out by a winger. He was basically just diving inside the box, which was really frustrating to watch. However, he was good in the air, and if he was asked to just defend, he would do so for his life. But it doesn't quite fit what we have in Ipswich at the moment. And to be fair, he was quite an odd signing to start with. I think he came under Hurst's signings. It didn't quite fit the bill. He's a no-nonsense centre-back. And I think if we're trying to play 3 at the back under McKenna, sort of being able to all sort of carry the ball and progress with the ball, he definitely doesn't fit that role. And so our starting 3 of Edmondson, Wolfenden and Donacien at the back 3 with Burgess as a sub and potentially like a youngster Baggett or Albi Armin, I think they're better options than Toto. So I'm pretty glad to see the back of him, but wish him all the best at Fleetwood. I saw he assisted a goal in his first game, so he's done more for them than did for us.
Yeah, certainly does seem, as you say, perhaps a sign of progress towards that new style, sort of under McKenna. Switching to a couple potential departures, then there's been sort of suggestions that perhaps a loan could be coming for Raheem Harper. Obviously, with Baconson coming in, that shuffles him further down the pecking order. Well, your thoughts on that? Do you see sort of a future for him still at Portman Road, but perhaps best served by some time at a different club?
Yeah, Raheem Harper's an interesting one because when he came in, I was pretty excited. And in terms of some of the games I saw early on in his Ipswich career, the start of the season, he looked very good on the ball. Always looked to be on the half turn, sort of wanting to go forward. I think then when we came under a bit of pressure, under a bit of stick, he was playing alongside Evans. I don't think they suited each other. Him playing alongside Morsey may have been a different story, but I didn't get to see that really happen. I think he is talented. I mean, he played a couple of Prem games, more than most of our squad. I just think he needs those consistent games. I think a lower League One team would be ideal again, sort of keeping him in a decent standard of football. Yeah. I think he's got a bright future. To your question around at Ipswich, I would like to see him play because I rate him quite highly. I think he needs that progression. Sometimes I actually heard on some of the training videos Ipswich released McKenna saying Harps or Raheem go right back. So I don't know whether that's a new role change or just a little formation he's playing with. But yes, I think he has got a future at Ipswich. This season, I think, because like I said, Tyreek Backison coming in on loan, I think it does drop him down that pecking order. And we've got Carroll back to full fitness as well. So yeah, I think a loan would be ideal, and lower League One especially.
And the same question, really. I've heard Idris El Mazouni as well. Looks like a player that's going out on loan. It's the same sort of situation for you there?
Yeah, I think nearly exactly the same. I would like the same sort of output as well. So being a lower League One team, keeping him up with the same standard. Again, I'm sure top level League Two isn't much different to League One sometimes. I mean, we lost to Barrow, so I mean we can't say much. But he needs senior football and he needs consistency. So yeah, definitely. Again, I would like his future to be, because he's got talent. I mean, the goal he scored against away in the second leg, not sure who against, in the FA Cup, was a great goal in the replay. But I think he just needs the consistent time. And I don't think he'll get that with Evans, Morsey, Baconson, or Carroll in front of him, basically. So yeah.
Absolutely. And one more name then, just before we move on to sort of your thoughts on the what you'd like to see for the rest of the window. James Norwood has obviously returned to the Ipswich limelight, if you will, with a bang in recent months. Lots of goals for him and drawing interest of 7 clubs reportedly. But Ipswich have no intention of selling this month. Is that the right call for you, do you think? And you're not expecting any sort of movement or anything there?
Yeah, I really hope not. Another really interesting, one interesting character. Him as a person seems like a comedy sketch half the time. And it was really interesting development around why he was left out. There was Cook saying it was through the hierarchy, didn't want him playing, and then Ashton said it's the manager's choice. So don't really understand that. And actually, at the moment, I'm not too bothered about what happened. What I'm quite interested about is his back in goals. He was 4-4, and I think it's now 4-6 or whatever. I really think he will remain our player till the end of the season. He's got quite a pivotal role to play. He takes some pressure off Bond when they play together. Against Gillingham, you saw the impact they have together, sort of running the channels, fighting a bit as well, a bit of spirit, bit of fight, bit of passion. Only worry is that I think his contract might be ended up with this year, but I do think we have another, we can trigger an extension if we think necessary. McKenna's been pretty positive about the role that Norwood's been playing on and off the pitch in the changing room. So I really don't think the interest amounts to much. I think he'll be a player for the rest of the season. I hope he's got another few goals in him, because his goal scoring record at Town is very good. It's pretty much 1 every 2 games. when he starts. So yeah, I'm keen to keep him on the pitch, and I like him as a character as well. It's good to have around the club.
Absolutely, and yeah, so it does seem as though if there are forwards to depart, it's unlikely to be Norwood. Jackson, we talked about just quickly. Joe Pigott, the situation with him. What have you made of him? I think a lot of EFL fans that perhaps not necessarily Ipswich fans will have been really shocked with how things have played out. Obviously, a 20-goal a season striker in his final season at Wimbledon, and someone that if reports are to be believed, was harbouring sort of championship interest and ended up at Ipswich. What really do you think's gone wrong for him there, and where do you see his role at the end of the season, but also moving forward?
It's a tough one because he also seems like a great character. They do this sort of coffee club chat in Ipswich at the moment, and he came on. He seemed like pretty positive, getting on well with everyone. I think he'd be quite gutted by not starting. Like, he's in sort of his prime career time. I think he needs games. And like I said, it's similar to like the Barry story. Bond scoring 11 in 11 or 11 in 10 or whatever it was right at the start of the season cemented his spot as number one. Every time Pigott's played, I think he's added something. Like, he came on against Gillingham, looked a threat, nearly set up Morsey for a goal, scored early season in the penalty, when given a chance in the Carabao Cup or EFL Trophy, scored against Gillingham again. Like, he's definitely got the ability. I just don't know whether it fits into the mould that we have right now. And I think due to other players being in form at the wrong time for Pigott, he's dropped down. And with the Norwood resurgence, he's dropped down even further. And then with Simpson coming back, I don't really know where it leaves Pigott, which is a bit of a shame because I like him on the pitch. Seems like a great person off the pitch. It's a good character to keep at the club, but from his personal development, I think he may need some more time somewhere else. Again, a loanee for a year, maybe. I don't know, but I think something needs to change for Pigott, basically.
Absolutely, certainly an interesting one to watch. Then Joe Pigott, only been at the club 6 months, but an interesting one to watch in the final 6 days of the window. That brings us to sort of the concluding questions, really, Henry. Is there any other business that you think, first of all, Ipswich need to get done, and really, what would your ideal end to the window be?
I can't see any transfers, like direct transfers. I think a couple of loanees might be useful. One priority that I put down is a left wing back. Sure. We currently have Penny, who's all right. So pretty much all I can say about Penny. Got a good ball in him. His physicality and energy up and down the left doesn't match Burns's on the right, which I think if you contrast directly, that's maybe a big area of weakness for Town at the moment. Yeah. Kane Vincent-Young plays across on the left-hand side. Again, he's not left-footed, so always wants to come inside with the ball, which he does do effectively. But again, it sort of imbalances the team, not having that left footer on that side. Hayden Coulson looked a bit of quality when he started from Middlesbrough on loan. Fitness-wise, though, apparently he's been training again. Went to rehab up in Middlesbrough. But when you're coming into this sort of end of the season territory after January, you want everyone fighting fit and ready to play. Yeah. And I don't know about the Coulson fitness. If he's not fit and ready available by next week, I really think we should either terminate that terminate that loan and then get a new left wing back coming in. Alvaro Fernandez from Man United, a youngster, left wing back, has been rumoured. And again, from what I've heard, looks like a decent player and would fit the mould in terms of energy, going back and forward, and his attacking ability. Look, we could utilise, or McKenna could utilise. One more, just quickly, another centre back as a backup. If we're playing a back three, we really only have Burgess as a senior replacement. So maybe a youngster. Again, can McKenna use that Man United link to bring in a good young Man United player? But if nothing at all, a left wing back would be ideal, and then a centre back as a bonus.
Sure. Just before we wrap things up, then the McKenna Man United link is it been slightly anticlimactic I think we all maybe suspected that he'd lean on his former club a fair bit, but have you expected to see more, United to Ipswich transfers?
I saw lots of rumours right at the start, and then nothing's really come to fruition at the moment. There's a couple of youngsters there, like I saw Amad Diallo was rumoured. That's not a chance he's coming because he's far too good for us. Another winger, Noah Emeran, I think was his name.
Yeah.
But again, it's all sort of rumours. I think McKenna was probably pleasantly surprised in terms of the ability he has in the squad. I mean, Carl Edwards, I haven't seen Carl Edwards play for a while, and I really liked what he offered. But again, in the formation that we're playing, a left winger or like forward attacking midfielder, we only really play one, and Chaplin looks good quality. So again, maybe in the off season we might see some more Man United links, because then we can offer him a full-time role at the club rather than a 6-month period, and McKenna can assess what he really has in the squad. So yes, initially I was surprised by not having more in, but in the end I don't think all of them were necessary, apart from maybe hopefully Fernandez. That's the ideal.
Absolutely. Just a final question then, Henry. If you had to rank, sort of give a score out of 10 to Ipswich's transfer window now, and perhaps another score if you were to sign that left back before the window closed.
I'd say right now 8 out of 10, because I mean Walton on a permanent is superb. For a League One team signing Walton, that's a great signing, and for the money we spent, and getting Bon on to extend and getting Tyreek in, I'd say an 8. It'd be a 10 if we get a left back.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of positivity then from an Ipswich perspective. Well, that's everything we've got from the Ipswich Town fan debate show today. But at 2 p.m, Alfie Burns and Toby Wilding will be previewing all the best of the midweek EFL action. And then at 4 p.m, as with every day this week, it's the EFL Transfer Zone with Sam Rourke, Ben Wignall and Chris Gallagher. They'll bring you all the latest transfer stories and a little bit of analysis as well. And just before we do go, just a reminder, please do like this video and subscribe to Footballing World TV on YouTube. But that just leaves me to say thank you, Henry, and thanks everyone for watching.